Welcome back to Season 2 of Live or Alone Pod.
Hey everybody.
We are so excited for Season 2. Season 1 was amazing. We want to thank you all for listening. It was just a great experience and we're excited to get back into it. We took a little bit of a break, but we are coming right back in time for, let's say, Spookmas, because we're going to be doing like new horror, some horror things that came out recently. We're going to go back and talk about some nostalgic horror, but we're also going to be talking about some festive horror. So we're getting into the spooky spirit. Are you excited for Season 2?
Hell yeah.
Alright, so let's jump into it. In today's episode, we're talking about a gothic horror miniseries created by an icon in the horror world, especially in recent times. A series based on the works of another horror icon, not from recent times, but always on our minds. That would be Edgar Allan Poe. The Fall of the House of Usher. That is a very long name. Before we begin, let me give you a brief synopsis of The Fall of the House of Usher. Siblings Roderick and Madeline Usher have built a pharmaceutical company into an empire of wealth, privilege, and power. However, secrets come to light when the heirs to the Usher dynasty start dying. And this miniseries, it's on Netflix. It's based on several works by Edgar Allan Poe, and I'll share a screenshot of every single referenced piece from Poe on our Instagram at Live or Alone Pod, so you can check that out in the show notes when this episode goes live. And it's part of this so-called Flanagan universe. I don't know if that's a real term. I kind of made that up. I don't know if other people are using that term, but what I mean by that is that this miniseries is part of his Netflix anthology type series that he has going on, where a lot of actors appear or reappear from his previous series as new characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's like, it's been done before, like American Horror Story.
Yeah, totally. So it's kind of like an anthology, but like the stories are not related at all. It's just that the actors are all the same.
And I think his is better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
His is better, yeah, way better.
Let us know if you agree with us. Before we kick things off, and we have a lot to talk about because there's a lot of characters in this show, but we won't dwell too much on each character. But before we begin, let's kick things off with a game, as always, and we're going to do a round of Stab or Survive. We have to, because there's so many very interesting characters, and I'm going to go through 6 of them. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And I will just preface this, because Ian is known for always picking, like, one extreme to the next. Like, he'll either stab everybody or he'll let everybody survive. I know everybody that I'm about to list is problematic, so just try your best to have a little fun with this, okay?
Alright, you go too. Make sure you have your input also.
Okay, we'll start with you though. Okay. Number 1, Perry Usher.
Perry, I would not stab him. He died too early, I think.
So survive?
Yeah, survive.
So the next one is Camille Usher.
Camille, I'll do survive. That was, what's the name? Siegel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Survive.
I agree. I think survive for me. Alright, next is Leo Usher.
Is Leo,
Yeah.
Owen? Yeah, I would make it survive too.
Yeah, I think survive for me also. Okay, next, Victorine.
The doctor, yeah, I would kill her. I didn't really care. She was really doing bad shit.
Okay, I pick survive for Victorine. Number 5, Tamerlane Usher.
Kill her.
Yeah, stab. Stab all the way. And then the last, I think we're going to agree on this one, Frederick Usher.
Yeah, he got crazy.
Stab. I think all of these characters are so problematic, but I feel like it's kind of fair for us to lean towards some of the characters that we like their storyline a little bit more, but we'll get into that in our discussion, which we'll talk about right now. Why did we pick this piece of content? I will say we have been watching all of Flanagan's miniseries since it's hit Netflix. It started with Hill House, and we've been a fan of his adaptations, and he does really great adaptations of well-known horror stories, so he didn't really have to do much for us to start watching because we already knew the stories from the origin of the story, such as Hill House and, you know, all of the other ones. So, yeah, we've just been watching them just cause.
Because it's good.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be good as soon as it comes out.
Yeah. Like, we didn't need much convincing to be like, okay, we need to watch these series. And Hill House was arguably the best one, at least in my opinion. So, like, we had to continue watching them. But this series, this miniseries in particular, is based on Poe, Edgar Allan Poe. And I have been a big Edgar Allan Poe fan since high school. I actually have, like, his entire collection on our bookshelf, and I've had this copy since I was in high school. So, longtime Poe fan. It's just really dark, it's really eerie, and so we knew going into watching this series that it was going to be very gothic, eerie, like the vibe was just going to be overall spooky.
Yeah, I read Edgar Allan Poe too when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like my teacher would like read it out for us, so I was like a big fan too. I have his books too, somewhere in my parents' house.
I feel like as horror fans, Poe is probably like a common denominator between all horror fans. Like some horror fans will pick one genre over the other, but most horror fans love Edgar Allan Poe's work. So, once again, not hard to pick this show up and start watching it. And let's get into why we like it so much.
He based every episode on something from Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then he told you they were gonna die. So every episode was like a puzzle. Like, let's see how this person dies and how this was gonna happen. But you would figure it out eventually during the episode. But it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, totally.
And I knew the way I was watching, I was like, how can we save them and they won't die? But they all had to go.
That's so funny. Like, you knew they were gonna die, but yet you didn't you kind of were rooting for them at the same time.
Yeah, and then you would figure out why they deserve to die, and then like you were like, why are they gonna die for? Why are they getting killed for?
Yeah.
And who's killing them? But
that's funny. I think it's sort of like, in a way, you were kind of waiting to see what was so evil about them, which kind of made their death valid in a way.
Yeah, or he tried to validate it.
Yeah, and I feel like, okay, let's not say death is valid, but they were all pretty evil, and at the end of each episode, you saw just how evil every single one of them was.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I loved the Poe references. Once again, I'll post the screenshot of all of the references, because there was a lot. There was a ton of them, and it was really cool because from character names to exact lines from pieces from Poe to scenes, like, if you're a really big Poe fan, you'll spot very, very great renditions of Poe's work throughout the entire show. So it's very fun. It's very, like, nerdy in a way because you get to see that come to life almost on the screen. So that was really cool to see.
And also I liked, like, there was like a view.
Yeah.
They were telling you, like, explaining people's lives, how we go about our lives, how we make money, how we do this.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
we're stuck, like, it really got to your head.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, he got really detailed into kind of, like, society and how, like, these elite people live, and it's wild how they live because they're so different than the average person, of course. But it's just so wild to see, like, the exact details and manipulation tactics that they use to get on top. It's insane.
And even when, like, even the pharmaceutical things, like, they would like, you would get, it got so in depth, you're like, what?
And so close to reality.
Yeah.
Which is so disturbing in so many levels, but I think that's what made it hit home for a lot of viewers, is for it to feel so close to what really is going on in society. But yeah, totally agree with you. I'll also say that Flanagan is also really great at creating one really good story. If we think about the whole series, it's just one story. But he's able to create that story so well at the same time as adapting something else.
Yeah.
So we know that it's about Edgar Allan Poe's work, just like his other shows have been, like, about Hill House, Bly Manor, and stuff like that. And they're adaptations of those original stories, but he creates his own story within it, which makes it brand new, and he's able to do both of them really well at the same exact time, I feel.
Yeah, he's writer and director. So it's like,
So it's like, it kind of shows just how much of a horror fan he is, because he's able to do both stories at the same time so well. And it's really good stories. Both are really good stories. We already know that the original story is going to be good because we're longtime fans of them, and horror fans are longtime fans of the original story, but he's able to kind of reel you in with his own story, and it always hits. Like, it's super dramatic, it's super emotional, and it's always kind of taking you on an emotional roller coaster in a way. Like, I don't know, by the end of it, I'm so invested in this family, even though they're terrible people, but, like, we get to see the emotions and, like, the really, really raw emotions of all of them, that you kind of care about the family at the end of it.
And it teaches you a lesson at the end, too. It's like a good old fairy tale.
A really, really good life lesson for all of his shows.
Yeah, like this one in particular was like, you get all of this, but you have to pay for it in the end.
Yeah.
So it's like you learn a lesson at the end.
Yeah, it was...
It's like a real, you know, like what they said, Aesop fables?
Yeah.
How they're really bad, like not bad, like they're really dark.
Yeah.
But then Disney transitioned that to be all fun and nice and stuff. So it's like that. He gave you the dark shit, just like Edgar Allan Poe does. He gives you that shit straight. That's
so true. It's kind of like a folktale where the theme of the story is really actually super simple to understand, but you interpret it in a dark way, which makes it hit more, I feel.
Yeah.
Which is why we love horror, right? Another thing that I really love about Flanagan, and I know we're talking about this kind of in a general sense, but there is the similarities between all of his shows, but it does show in this series as well. His adaptations take creative liberties, of course, because he has his own story going on, and there are vast changes from the original story. So if we're thinking about Edgar Allan Poe's stories here, but he maintains so much from what fans love from the original. So basically he's paying homage to the original stories really, really well, while also maintaining his brand new story. Kind of a reiteration of what we were just talking about, but he's able to also really, really be dedicated to the original story. So there's not too much of the new story, even though it is a brand new story. There's still just enough of the original story for people to be like, oh my gosh, I get that reference. Oh my gosh, this reminds me of that time when I read this story for the first time ever, kind of. Like, for the example of The Raven.
Yeah, you get nostalgia.
Or the Telltale Heart. We were kind of like, oh my gosh, the Telltale Heart! And we were nerding out about it, but we were simultaneously watching a brand new story using it.
Yeah.
We kind of went through all of the things that we like about it, so now we have enough time to talk about the characters. And there are a lot of characters in this show. When we get to your favorite character, let the audience know who your favorite character is and your least favorite character.
Me? Okay.
You and me. I'll keep that in mind as well.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about Perry. Perry Usher.
A young kid who they all got money. They all got paid because I guess he found them or they found him and they're like, you owe us money. And he wasn't a dick father. He was like, all right, I'll give you guys money. But he wanted to give them money to make sure that they make him money. Some shit like that. Like
I didn't take it that way.
Or is it that they wanted to make money to impress him?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think so.
Because all he thought was like he had like a standard to living and all that shit, and they wanted to meet up with that standard. So he would give them money, but he's like, you got to do something with your life with it. You couldn't just be like sitting down bumping around.
Yeah, I think Perry was like a big pitch guy. He wanted to have like a groundbreaking pitch, but I think all of them did. But he was really on it constantly.
Yeah, but he was more like, since he was the younger one, he was like with the internet and like partying.
Yeah.
And I mean, and he was doing drugs too.
Modern day marketer.
Yeah.
Startup.
So he was similar to like us right now.
Very similar.
But the only thing he fucked up was he didn't go by the rules, like that was the building code. He didn't go by the building code.
Oh my gosh, leave it to you to talk about the building code. If you didn't know, Ian does that in like his day-to-day job.
In real life.
But yeah, he did not play by the rules by a long shot. He was very obnoxious. He was very cocky.
Yeah.
And it was so annoying because he was the youngest one. Like I don't want to be an asshole, but he was just too naive about it. Naive and overly confident. So he was just doing whatever and he thought that everything he did was genius, which obviously wasn't the case.
But this was good because his other character, when we were watching, was it the Midnight Club? He was kind of like completely different. So it was good to see him act completely like.
You know, for a while when we were watching this one, I did not realize that he was one of the kids from Midnight Club.
Yeah, because he had hair.
Oh yeah, he didn't have hair in the Midnight Club, and he was just such a nice person.
Yeah,
it was such a change of character. But you're totally right. It was cool to see that. I will say his death might have been the most gruesome.
Yeah. But for some reason, what did I say? I wanted him to be alive. I think I wanted it to be. I don't know if I wanted it to be alive, but it was too quick.
Because he was so young.
Yeah, it was too quick, and it was weird how he got killed. Like he just got locked up in the room there.
But I think they were dying. Were they dying in order? No, they weren't dying.
Nah, they're dying randomly. But he was the first.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of glad that he died first because he was so annoying.
Yeah, he would have been a dick too. Yeah. I mean, he was dickish. So.
All right, he wasn't your favorite, or
nah,
least favorite.
He wasn't my favorite.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to Camille.
All right, so
by the way, I'm writing this list in the order of how they died. So.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about Camille.
Spoiler. All right, so Camille, she was good because Cause she was like a TMZ kind of shit, like writing news and stuff. And
what was her job? Was she PR or was she a lawyer?
I think she was PR. But she was like snooping around a lot.
Yeah.
But then she was snooping around her siblings. That's the only thing that was like kind of making her
she was trying to like get the dirt on all of
like
her
bitchy.
I mean, they kind of all were like that.
Yeah, but she was fucked up in the head too. Remember, she had two assistants, and she would have sex with them.
They all had some weird sexual issues.
Yeah, like Perry wanted this was like to fuck everybody.
They all had weird, like not just like sexual fetishes
like
or tendencies. They had issues, and they were so bizarre. Every single one of them, but actually not every single one of them.
And they had like no emotion. Like they didn't care about each other because they're just like competing to be like daddy's favorite.
It was a very, very extreme reiteration of like mommy daddy issues, but
I liked her because she was bad blunt. She's like,
I kind of liked her.
Yeah, she didn't give a shit. She told you how it is.
She was kind of like almost relatable in the bunch, because even though she was very like posh and pompous in many instances, there were other instances where she was kind of like giving it to you straight. So that was relatable.
To hear that. You need to hear that shit.
Yeah.
She would give it to you like straight away. She didn't have no hold on a dog.
She seemed kind of chill when she had the opportunity to be chill, but like 99% of the time she couldn't be chill.
Yeah.
So
she was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Was she your favorite or one?
Nah, she was one of my favorites.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I liked her too. Shout out to the gray hair. That was also cool.
And then her death was gruesome too, because she got beat the fuck out of by a chimpanzee.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I called it as soon as she was in the lab with the chimpanzees, and I was like, yeah.
I really didn't expect the chimpanzee story to be for real. When I realized that was real, I was like, wait a second. Dang.
It was CGI, guys. It was CGI.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as I saw her in there, and I was like, she's going in that room with the chimpanzees, I was like, that's it for her.
That was wild. Yeah, literally. Next, Leo Usher.
Leo was my favorite for some reason. But
that.
He was like, I think his only problem. I mean, he actually the whole time in the episode he would talk about his emotions, and
But would he though?
I mean, he would though. He would be like, "Oh, something fucked up would happen." You would be relatable to it because you'd be like, "Oh, somebody died," and he'd be like, "Oh shit, our family member died." Like you saw that he cared about them.
Yeah, you're right.
He's like my sister, and this and that. Like he wasn't a bullshitter.
He might be the only emotional one out of the group.
Yeah,
aside from Lenore, but yeah.
That's why he was my favorite. He was like, he kind of didn't give a shit either, and I was relatable to him because he played video games.
Not because he's a brown guy.
Not because he's a brown guy. Not just that. But it's because he played video games too, and I was like, you could see that somebody could do that.
No, that was cool.
Like real life, yeah. Yeah, even though he got Nepo babied into it, but it was like,
it was cool.
It was cool to see what he was doing, like their jobs and stuff, and he was bisexual too, so it's like...
He was a mixed bag of relatable things, I feel like.
Yeah, so he was just like, anybody could relate to him.
Except for the drug problem.
Yeah, the drug problem. The guy loved drugs. I don't understand.
He had a serious drug problem. Oh my gosh. That was just... I mean, that was what kind of caused the whole cat incident, right? Was him abusing the drugs and not knowing what he did to the cat.
Oh, wild. Yeah. He died by falling off the apartment.
I think he kind of drove himself into madness, and then he fell off the cliff.
Yeah.
Not cliff, the
cat.
ledge, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole cat thing. I mean, this show was pretty gruesome when it came to the animals, or animal in this instance. I really, really wanted to like Leo as much as you do, but the drug problem and then the animal violence really made it hard for me to like him that much. For the most part, I did, because of the whole emotional thing and being able to talk to Perry. He was able to talk to Perry quite well. And Camille, actually. So, he was cool.
They were hanging out being friends. Like,
yeah.
He was like, they knew that they go by him, he's cool.
I feel like that trio actually kind of got along in the grand scheme of the siblings. So that was kind of cool. I feel like he was also chill and you can hang out with him. But, yeah, the drugs and the animal thing, and also cheating on his partner, that was pretty fucked up as well. I could not get past that. Victorine might be my favorite because I wanted to believe that she was actually a good person, and that the only reason why she was evil, she was literally fighting between her two personalities, kind of like angel devil.
Yeah.
In front of the screen. Like, you could see her battling with wanting to be a good person and wanting to
please daddy.
To please daddy at the same time. So you would kind of see her switch from, oh my gosh, no, I love you, to her partner, and then switch to, like, bashing her partner's head in. So I feel like I had a little bit of hope for her to be a good person, and I just kept holding on to that up until the very end, when her partner was like, what was her heart completely exposed?
Yeah, she used a device on it.
That was so messed up. And then it ended up being like one of the most messed up murders, because she murdered her partner in a very disturbing way where she was almost like not there anymore. Like, mentally she was not there anymore. But aside from that, I kind of liked her.
Yeah, it was weird because she was like, you didn't know if she loved her partner or if she just got with her to be do the experiment. I'm like,
true.
I'm like, are you a bitch?
True.
Like, did you? Even her partner was like, do you love me? Because her partner was she was the surgeon and she was the assistant.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe that wasn't true.
I think she was really fucked up.
But I think you're right. I had the hopes that she actually was not that bad of a person, and that other people were kind of throwing these assumptions on her. But then when the whole chimpanzee theory was confirmed, I realized, oh yeah, she actually is a horrible person. And the assumptions are actually valid. So you're probably right when you say that she was messing with her partner the entire time and she didn't actually love her partner, which makes her
daddy issues.
Very, very despicable and evil of a person. But
the thing too is like they were under pressure. Like the dad was like, you got to get this thing done, because I think he wanted to save himself.
Of course.
Remember, he wanted to save himself, so he wanted her to do it because he knew he was diagnosed with dementia or something.
A form of dementia.
Yeah, so he wanted her to do some research to save him and to save the company, to let it go on, like to live forever.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to live forever so that later on that they would get a cure for the dementia and he would be good again. Some shit like that.
Maybe. I don't know. He was just always so selfish, and he threw that onto his kids as like guilt trips, and she felt it really, really hard because she was kind of like the science-y side of it. So they would get like all of their approvals, starting with her probably. And so she had to do all of these really, really crazy, drastic things in order to please her father and keep the business going and stuff. So she was like I said, you keep seeing her fight with that, like wanting to be a good person. And her partner was a really good person. So it's like, I don't know, maybe there's a little glimpse of good there, but it just didn't make it through, unfortunately. Which is why I think she's my favorite, despite her being problematic.
Yeah.
We're getting on to the worst of the worst. Tamerlane Usher.
Was garbage because... Alright, Tamerlane was garbage because, again, with the sexual issues, she would hire somebody
to
act like her to have sex with her husband. And then she would get mad at the husband. She got mad at the husband because she thought the husband was cheating on her. But she's paying for somebody to sleep with her husband. Now, the whole thing is, he even said it, he admitted that. Wait, did he even say that? Or that was in her head? That was in her head. Forget about it. This is
like
later on, like she would see him and think like, oh, and he would be like, oh, I didn't even want to have sex with these people, but he wasn't even there. She was just making shit up in her head.
But he was having sexual encounters with these escorts. I think it was implied that he was having like sexual encounters.
Yeah.
But the cheating part, like having a relationship with them, was what drove her insane, and I think it was because Verna kept showing up. So Verna was driving her insane, and she just made assumptions from that.
Yeah, and then she wanted to do that or make her own business also. It's like a box, what is it? Those monthly boxes?
Like a subscription box?
Yeah. She wanted I mean, that was, when the whole idea was cool.
Yeah.
But then she really shot in her husband's face and was like, but like you're the only reason you're here is because of me with the money. So she was like,
she went hard when she roasted him. Like, she roasted the shit out of him. I felt bad, even though we didn't know much about him.
He sounded like a nice guy, though.
He just seemed like a chill dude. I don't even know how he got into a relationship with this woman, because she is, I don't know, they just seem like total opposites. Maybe that works, but
later on she would see him, and then you would see her like apologize. Like like that was her
Yeah.
real self. Like
Oh,
she
yes.
had a nice part to her. So at one point I was like, she's really good. She's being a good person. But then you would hear the shit that she told him, and I'm just like, this lady's fucking garbage.
Yeah, you're right. She also had kind of like a little instance where you had hope for her to be a good person. I think it was actually kind of like a cry for help, the way that it was expressed from her character. She would have little breaks where she would be vulnerable for like half a second, and it was kind of like a cry for help, like, I actually do want love, I actually do want affection, and it would show very, very slight, and then she would just switch right back to being like stone cold. And when she was stone cold, she was horrible. Like, she was so mean. She didn't care about anybody, and if they even tried to show her affection in like as a reciprocation, she'd be like, get the fuck out of here. So it's complicated, we're like dealing with her, because in a way we know that she wants it, but she keeps pushing it away. It's so frustrating.
She has to keep this character. Didn't Lenore talk to her? And like
it wasn't Lenore, it was Juno.
Oh, Juno spoke to her. Juno's so nice to her.
Yeah.
And you could see in her face that she wanted her eyes were tearing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, is she really gonna show emotion? And then she fucking swallowed it up and was like,
so close.
I was a bitch at the end.
And what stung so hard after that is the chair to her face. Remember she threw the chair in Juno's face?
Yeah, that shit was mad funny. She threw it. No, it wasn't a chair. It was wasn't the mic stand.
Oh, the podium?
I was like, how did you just pick that shit up?
That was like such a slap in the face. Juno was like, I just opened up to this woman like an hour ago, and I have a podium to my face. She's one of my least favorites, actually.
Yeah.
And speaking of least favorites, my least favorite...
Frederick.
I freaking hate Frederick.
Frederick was such a dick. That's why they keep making fun of him. The thing is, they keep making fun of him, saying that he's daddy's... What are they calling him? Frodrick?
Oh, Frodrick.
The father's name is Roderick, and he's Frederick, so they're like, Frodrick. Making fun of him. Because he's basically... He put him under his wing to be like... to own the business afterwards and run in the business, because I think that was his first son.
It's his first
son. The firstborn was Tamerlane, I think. And then was...
Oh, shoot.
He's the first. Tamerlane's the baby.
Yeah.
The second one, actually. But yeah, he was the firstborn, so he thought that he had to take the whole empire over. But he was just like in the office, like one of those office guys, and he had like no fucking backbone. And then they would make fun of him and say that he's just following daddy and doing what his dad does. So you were like, what is this guy doing?
It's true. Kind of was.
In the beginning, though, I did like him because he looked like he was a good husband. He cared about his wife and stuff, and then he just got fucking crazy.
It's kind of true. He kind of seemed like the stereotypical husband who was part of a rich family, so he kind of was not problematic. At first, he was just like an entitled rich guy at first, which that's always annoying, but, you know, it's not like he was evil at first. It was when his wife supposedly cheated on him, or he thought that she cheated on him, is when he lost it, and he went to like a whole other level, and then on top of that, he started taking drugs from that. And then he became a whole nother level of dick. Horrible. I don't know if it was kind of like masked in him the entire time, and this kind of let it all loose. I think that's what they were trying to say.
Yeah, because he was really nice to his daughter too. I thought he was like a really good guy. He was good to his wife. He was good to his daughter. He's acting all regular. And then as soon as he thought or assumed that shit, just like Tamerlane, as soon as he thought that shit happened, he switched over to this evil motherfucker.
It was like paranoia, super, super big trust issues. I feel like they all have trust issues, which makes sense, right? Because their father never seemed like a reliable person of love in the family, and then they didn't have their mom around either. So they have super, super serious trust issues. It shows the worst with Frederick. That's the name?
Frederick. But why did he just talk to his wife?
Well, she couldn't talk.
That's the thing too. It's like he did the worst to his wife.
It was horrible because she could not even defend herself. So he started spiraling, making up stories in his head from the paranoia. Then he started taking drugs, which made the paranoia go even worse. And then next thing you know it, his wife is like some evil person, even though she's actually the victim in the situation. And then he took that to advantage. He became like power hungry. And then he started abusing her when she was already down. It was so disgusting. Like, I just wanted him to rot.
Yeah, because she could not defend herself. She couldn't talk. He stopped her from talking.
Yeah.
He stopped her from fighting back. She was just stuck in there, and then his daughter had to fight back.
And it's crazy because, like, her only defense was her daughter. And then he started being mean to his daughter. Which is like, you're starting to see the way that he unraveled, the way that his father unraveled onto them. Starting off with good intentions, and then all of a sudden, you're becoming a terrible father, and you're taking it out on your kids, and you don't realize that you're damaging your kids by doing that.
And I'm sure the kids, just like Lenore, the kids tried to defend also.
Maybe.
And say something.
Yeah.
And he shut them down.
Yeah, and just like beat them down until it was like too much for them to even fight back. And especially with power, with money, you have all of these things being held hostage against you. But I think what worked out is that Lenore was super strong-willed.
Yeah.
And she didn't care about the money, so she wasn't being held hostage by any of those things.
Speaking of Lenore, she's next.
She's next. Oh, wait, but was Frederick your least favorite?
Yeah, he was. I think he was my least favorite.
Yeah, he was the worst.
He was the worst because he took advantage of the lady. Like, at least let her talk and say something. He just was like, I know everything. Because he acted like his dad again.
I will say most satisfying kill because it was so nice to see Verna be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
That was great.
He got stuck in the thing and the whole fucking building
slowly died. Like the slicing at the end credits, oh my god, disgusting. But also kind of satisfying. Alright, now to switch gears completely, Lenore, which is probably my favorite.
Yeah, Lenore was the best one because she was
the best.
She was the nicest person there. And she was the smartest. She knew what was going on. She's
almost like the viewer.
Yeah. Because
we're like, what the hell is wrong with you? And she's kind of like that as well.
It sucked that she had to die though.
I know.
Spoiler.
That's like the biggest consequence of this. Well, not the biggest. All of them dying is the consequence. But seeing one of them be good and have them die for absolutely no reason is probably what was the worst thing for Roderick when he realized that the deal was like unraveling.
The thing is, she was what's her name? Verna said that that the family would live long. So when she got killed, I was like, why? But then I realized the reason why she got killed because Roderick was going to get killed sooner or later. So he had to see her get killed to suffer.
She didn't say that they were all going to live long lives. She just said that he was going to live a long life and he would get to see his kids grow up. Lenore's technically not his kid. Yeah. So.
But she did mention when she had to get rid of Lenore, she was just like, they never understand when I say bloodline. I even thought about it. I was like, wait, bloodline? I was like, fuck Lenore. I was like, I hope Lenore gets out of this.
Yeah.
She should have let Lenore make her own deal, but.
I mean, she's part of the lineage.
Yeah, it
wasn't her choice to make, right? That was sucky because Lenore was awesome. She didn't care about the money. She always wanted to do the right thing, even when there were so many people and so many influences that would cause her to kind of like switch gears and become just like the rest of her family. She stood strong and she was like, no, I'm going to make my stance here. And that's what made her such a great character. Unfortunately, we had to see her die, but she did die peacefully.
Yeah, she just went to sleep.
She kind of was like...
I think she touched her and she went to sleep.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
But that was good.
She was great. Best character.
Yeah.
Because she was the only good character.
Actually, the best character was...
God.
Verna.
Verna was pretty awesome.
Verna was the best character.
Maybe let's say Verna was the best character. Because she was in it a lot as well.
Yeah, so Flanagan picked the best actress. Who, like, this lady flips from good to bad to all kinds of shit and all.
She's so good at doing it.
And all of his series.
She was in Gerald's game.
She's in Gerald's game, and the husband is Roderick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it.
So he took people from all his other movies and stuff.
That's so funny.
But he picked the best actress because I'm sure she passed the test because she's been in so many shit.
Yeah, she must have had so much fun playing a different person every episode.
Yeah, she snuck her way into like one thing, and you knew it was her, but then she acted a different way. It was just like and then she did different accents.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun watching her change from character to character.
About the accents, remember they said how ravens mimic.
Oh yeah.
So it was
nice. That's cool. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
But
she's the Raven, by the way.
Yeah, she's a Raven. My favorite one that she acted as, the funniest part I think was from you was when they what's her name, Pim tried to kill her, and I was like, and she got up outside of her body,
out of the body bag,
and I was just like, this bitch is.
That was your favorite one? That's funny.
Yeah, that one was funny, and I liked her when she's a bartender.
I think my favorite is her as the bartender.
Yeah, because she's just like.
That's like her in her almost truest form.
Yeah, that's like her world. The bar.
Yeah.
like drinking with people.
It gave me Supernatural vibes. Like you're kind of at the crossroads and you're making a deal right there and then and you have to make the deal. It just gave me that vibe.
Yeah.
That was fun. Verna was bomb. I think she did her part so well, just like you said. I also liked her as a security guard. That one was pretty funny, because she kind of, like, stuck it to Camille. Camille was always the one giving it to people straight, and then she got to do it too, and then she was like, now you're gonna die, bye.
Yeah.
So, I like those the best, but she did great in every single, like, mini character. Roderick, young and old. I mean, Roderick is overall horrible. Yeah. Both young and old. He was a terrible person. I thought he was gonna be alright when he was younger, and then you just saw how evil he became through the influence of his decisions and his sisters.
He was a nice person. His mom wasn't like that, but then he just turned. I don't know what happened with him and his sister. They were just like they felt like they deserved the money because their father was a dickhead.
I think it was mostly Madeline. Madeline was kind of like the one egging him on. Like, he married Annabelle, and then he was kind of living this life where he was just under the radar. He was just an average dude. And then his sister was always like, no, we have to do more than this. We're legends, and we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna manifest it. So she was kind of egging him on, and then that in turn turned him into, like, the worst person ever. Yeah,
and then his boss was a dick too. Like, his boss knew that he was related to Think, but he was like, you're not gonna get on top because your dad's your dad was fucking the secretary or some shit like that.
It's shitty, and the guy was shitty too, but at the same time, it's like, the average person wouldn't go to the lengths that they did. And I think he would have never done that if it weren't for Madeline's influence.
Yeah, Madeline was really a bitch. Even his wife was like, she's...
Because he would have mostly listened to his wife.
She has, like, no soul, that bitch. Like, she was the worst. I think she's my worst fucking... least favorite? Yeah. Character is Madeline, and she's next on the list. And she's a fucking bitch.
Yeah. I mean...
I hated her.
Overall, Roderick was horrible, and he does not have any redeeming qualities. By the end of it, I don't feel bad for him, even though he's crying over Lenore. He made his bed, essentially, so I don't feel bad for this guy. He was a piece of shit through and through. That could have been prevented if he kept on his path when he married his wife and, had his family, but he decided to go through the path of Madeline. Speaking of Madeline, maybe she might be the worst. She might be the worst, like you said.
She has no soul, no emotion. She is narcissistic. The best thing was when she got killed. The best thing was I jumped over everything. The best is when she got killed because he dug out her fucking eyes and she came back alive. But yeah, she's the worst character Anyway, you tell me why she's the worst.
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah. I think she is actually the worst. She might be worse than any of the Ushers because at least the Usher kids, like, they're coming through some weird brainwashing manipulation situation that they had, this complex relationship that they had with their father. With Madeline, it was different. Madeline was just a master manipulator through and through from the very beginning. Like, since the beginning when she was young. She was always like that.
When I was watching it too, I kept getting this weird thing, like, she doesn't care about anything, no emotions, no sex or anything. And I felt some weird connection with them too. Like, they were always together.
She seemed like a sociopath.
Yeah.
Like, she had no emotions. She seemed like a neutral person. Like, she tried to come across herself as, like, a neutral person, but she was a master manipulator, and that's why she stayed neutral, is because she kind of absorbed what was going on around her, and she used that to her benefit in any way possible. Even with Lenore, which was even worse, because Lenore is the nicest person in the entire series, and she used Lenore as her AI experiment. So she's even using her there, and used her past her death. Like, she was just constantly using people, and when she found out that Roderick was going to die, she did not mourn that. She didn't feel bad about that. I don't even think she felt bad when she went to kill him, which is kind of a weird sentence to say. Yeah. But she was just like, anyway, moving on, I'm going to take over and I'm going to do my own shit. So she was just constantly manipulating people.
She thought that she could kill him or he could commit suicide, and he agreed with it so that she would take over and then something would happen. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? And then he came back to life because obviously he can't do that to Verna. Verna said both of them are going to die at the same time. Mm-hmm. So then he killed her. So they both were taking chances killing each other.
Roderick was killing her because he was like, you tried to kill me and we're going to go through this together. Like, that was his reasoning for it. For her, it was like, she tried to cheat out Verna, and Verna was, you can't do that. You can't. And she still tried. She still tried because she thought she was that much of a master of manipulation. And she was in ways. Like, she manipulated everyone. I noticed it from the very beginning when she was young with Annabelle. Like she would look down at Annabelle, and I thought it was because she thought that she was like some self-proclaimed feminist because she wasn't a wife and she wasn't a mother. So she was kind of looking down at Annabelle like, oh, you're just like any other housewife. But then we start to notice that like, no,
she's jealous of her.
She's definitely jealous of her. Like Annabelle told her to put her in her place and said, you have no heart, like, and that's what's so sad about you is like you're a freaking sociopath. And that was probably the only thing that has ever stung her.
Yeah, because somebody gave it her back in her ass.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's true. She is a sociopath. She didn't care about anything or anyone. So it was a sad life that she had, but that was her problem. So those are all of the big characters. Honorable mentions, we have Juno. Juno was awesome. Juno was cool. Juno was funny.
Yeah, Juno was funny, and then she was straight, and I think she was the most emotional one that was like, what the fuck is going on?
She was the most normal one.
And she did not care about the money, so that's why I was like, she was one of my favorite characters.
Aside from Lenore, she was like the most emotional one, in tune with reality kind of person. And she was funny. Like, she was actually really funny.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention is Pim. I think Pim was pretty cool.
Yeah, Pim was the cleaner. Whenever they fucked up, he would come in there and clean everything. He would clean everything and make sure nobody got arrested.
I think
the police said no.
I think he was just really great at his job. And like, he did his job super well, and he knew that he was doing bad things doing his job, and he accepted that. And so he took what he needed to take at the end, which was go to jail for the rest of his life. So I liked him. I respected him in that way.
Huh?
And then the last honorable mention is Annabelle. We talked about Annabelle already, but Annabelle was a nice person until she met the ushers and married one of the ushers.
I mean, he didn't trick her or anything. That was his real self until he turned into a dick.
Yeah,
his
but
sister.
he did trick her. Yeah. And that was when she was like, all right, I'm done. Because he tricked her once.
Oh, yeah, he tricked her once, yeah.
And she was like, oh, you're a freaking liar. So she was actually amazing. She was like a really great person. And then because of the ushers, it caused her death. Like, she killed herself, right? It was implied she killed herself.
Because even what's the name? Madeline was like, if he told you what... He said it too. If we told you what you were doing, you would have stopped us. Or tell...
So he deliberately, like, manipulated her as well.
Oh, shit. We didn't talk about August.
Honorable mention to August Dupin. He was also manipulated by the ushers. And he was like an outside source. Like, he was just a lawyer since they were really young.
He was a narrator. No, yeah, he was a narrator.
He was kind of like
kind of his story, yeah.
Him and Roderick sitting down in the house was them being the narration.
And he was a good character, too.
He was good, yeah. I liked him.
Yeah.
Do you have any dislikes for the show?
The only dislike is how Lenore got killed. That's
fair.
I wanted there to be 1 ounce of happiness, but the only happiness we got was that Juno was alive.
Yeah, that's true.
And Juno was like, fuck this whole family, and she gave away the money, gave it to charity.
Speaking of August, it ends off with him living his life. He gets to live, and he gets to live happily, and he gets to move on. And now he goes on and he lives his life quite well.
Yeah.
Because he lived a life of honesty and genuineness. Is that a word?
Yeah, that's the moral of the story.
Yeah. That was a long conversation, but like I said, there was so many characters that we needed to get. We just had to talk about all of them. But speaking of all of the characters, we have a question for the audience, so make sure you go to the discussion post of this episode on our Instagram at LiveRalonePod and comment on the discussion post. Let us know who was your favorite and least favorite character from the show. Once again, it doesn't need to be an usher, but also we know that most of these characters are problematic, so try to have fun with this answer. I know they're all bad, but which one do you lean closer towards? And we do have some commentary from season 1. We have a comment from Hannah who says that her favorite character from the Scream franchise is Randy. That's an amazing choice. I think if we weren't just so obsessed with Stu, Randy would be our favorite also.
Yeah, second.
So, great pick.
What about Billy?
I was so crushed when he died in Scream 2 that, like, I almost didn't watch Scream after that. Bad, yeah. So, we feel you. Randy is awesome.
Bring back Randy.
Bring back Randy! If only. But thank you so much for listening. If you liked today's episode and you want to hear more from us, do us a favor and follow us on Instagram. That's where we're most active. That's where all of the discussion posts are. We do discussion posts for every single episode once it goes live, and we're just hanging out there all the time. We also do live streams. So head over there at Live or Alone Pod. We're also on TikTok and YouTube. But tune in next Wednesday because we're going to be talking about
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's. But for now,
We'll see you in the kitchen with a knife.